I'm gonna be basically freestyling this video, but I've got a very interesting thing to cover here, okay? And before I do, I just wanna make sure I say cheers to everybody that supports me, that watches me, that observes me, however you wanna look at it. I really appreciate you. I'm just letting you know. I have a lot of fun making these videos because I have a lot of fun talking to people in person, but this is just an extra avenue that I have to be able to do this. So I just want to say I'm very, very grateful for my life, for everything I have. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for my channel, for my garden, my cats, my animals, my kid, my family. I'm very, very grateful. I'm in a very grateful mood right now. And when I drink, this amplifies the frequency. Because you see how when people fucking drink and they are already angry or depressed to begin with, it kind of amplifies that. Some people are like, man, I need a drink, you know, when they're angry, and then all of a sudden they get fucking angrier. Or if they're depressed and then they drink, all of a sudden they start fucking crying like crazy. Yeah, it's an amplifier. So if you're feeling a certain way, yeah, I mean, alcohol is a poison. Alcohol is spirits. Alcohol this, alcohol that. Food is poison. This and that. People are fucking poison. People are toxic. But then people are also very beneficial for you to make money. People are also very beneficial to fucking jumpstart your DNA and help you along your journey, because everything you see outside of you is yours. It's not about what it is, it's just how it's used and how you can use it also to benefit everybody else around you. Cheers. Now in this video, I also want to make sure I leave this disclaimer to make sure I protect myself, all right? I'm not a medical doctor. I'm over here for entertainment purposes, making content to entertain you in this video, okay? None of my stuff is backed up by medical science, medical claims. It's not backed up by scientific fact or scientific evidence. Do your own research. I'm just here connecting dots. These videos are journals for myself, all right? Now, I want to start this video by basically saying that this whole virus that has been out, as far as, you know, the pandemonium has been happening, is a bat virus, okay? But the reason the bat was used, it's all symbology, okay? Now, I did a little bit of research. The bat, I typed in on Google, and the reason I Google these things, not to be a Google scholar, is just basically something that's there for the convenience of people to be able to use their fingers and type away to find things out that the immediate system can offer you as far as information, okay? And then from there, you start to tie in your own shit. Like, you just process whatever it is that they offer you as far as information goes. No different than when you eat food, you'll know how it sits with you and how it doesn't. If it doesn't sit with you well, then don't eat that shit, all right? So, now, bats, all right? Spiritual meaning of bats. I typed this in on Google. Bats often represent death in the sense of letting go of the old and bringing in the new. They are symbols of transition, of initiation, and the start of something new. The omen of seeing bats. The bat's sudden appearance in a building therefore portends gave misfortune ranging from death to illness or just plain bad luck. The most frequently repeated myths is that bats' presence in a house foretells someone's death. Now, do you see how? Let me show you how I read this, okay? All right. So when I put in spiritual meaning of bats, all right, this is what popped up. I just read it to you. And then when I scroll down, I'm just putting how people ask certain questions, the omen of seeing bats, and then it's just what I just read. Read up on all this. The whole thing is, when you see something like this, which is basically coming from batcon.org, it's basically like a Reddit, and you'll see that they basically make look, how it says misfortune ranging from death to illness. So you already immediately program to say death is a bad omen. You know what I'm saying? Like, something like this is just immediately bad, but death can have many meanings, not just where you're here alive and then all of a sudden you die and you're not here part of this reality anymore. Like, death can be what was read in the first paragraph I read you, where it said in a sense where bats often represent death in the sense of letting go. Let me show it to you again so you can see this. Right? This one says bad omen down here. And then when you see this, it says bats often represent death in the sense of letting go of the old and bringing in the new. So I've also, you know, grew up around people saying, nah, I deaded that girl. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I deaded that relationship. Meaning you let go of that relationship. But however, during this letting go process, one important thing is that the reason why you may have let that person go out of that relationship is because, for one, you weren't interested in that person anymore. If it was coming from a toxic space, you were just not into that person anymore because they weren't serving you, or they were just somebody toxic to you. But keep in mind that these people were versions and reflections of you, and that's why you attracted them in your relationships. And here's the part of the letting go process. You know how everything is love. I've already talked about how everything is love, including the things you may look at as a bad thing. Everything is love. People look at things in nature happening. Oh, that's such a brutal thing. How, you know, a lion could eat its own cubs and whatnot. Everything is love. But the reason I say this is because you ever hear love? You let it go. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. But if it comes back in an evolved way, in a transformed way, in a transmuted way, right? So when you look at, for example, letting go of a relationship, if you don't change yourself, you'll attract the same person just in another body. So when you have this, you know, you're here in this life, right? When we start to say, you know, you go through this death process, you are letting go of this body, you detach from this body. This is why out-of-body experiences are important, and, you know, things of detachment, practicing like some forms of detachment are important. But it's a letting go process. It's shedding your skin. You evolve into something new. You know, when a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, right, it transformed into something else. We can even look at this from like the topic of transgenderism, right? A person who was born, let's say a boy, and they transformed into a woman, now they're considered a transgender. They had to let go of that identity of being a boy to transforming into a woman, right? We in society look at this as something that's unnatural, not normal, and whatnot. However, you are not human. So either way you put it, somebody else arguing with a person who is a female now, who was once a boy, you're telling that person you're not a woman, you're a man because you were born a man, right? But you're not even really a man. That's the whole thing. So you telling that person what they truly feel inside is being a woman, then that reality to that person is more real than what you can ever push on them for it to be, right? Because the truth and reality is perceived by that person's experience, that individual. So the only reason you were born a boy is because the doctor told you were a boy. So then your parents said, we're having a boy. And that's it, based on just the body parts that you have, right? Some people are born into their body, right? And they are in society doing things, and they just don't feel complete because they don't know who they are and what they see. This goes beyond genderism. There's people who are men and say they're men, but they're not complete in life because they don't know what the fuck, who and what they are, which means you're none of these things. So that person changing from a boy and fucking society and saying fuck society, not worry about what society says of them, and they go through that fucking sex change, are more advanced and evolved than you are, because at least they had the courage to get out of that space they thought they were in, whether you, because this goes into many layers, and I've already spoken on this in many videos, which could be a topic for discussion, but it may not be. We can even open a discussion panel for it. But it could be genetically modified foods, modified your way of thinking, modified your way of thinking who and what you are. But I also did mention in those videos that to begin with, you are not even human. So what it does is just opens up more channels for participation in humanity to begin with, for debates, right? Vegan, carnivore, flat earth, round earth, you know, the topic of transgenderism, the topic of politics, religion, whatever it may be. It requires your participation. Okay, and I'll go further in detail into that so that I don't make this video too long on that just one particular topic, because I want to cover a few other things. Titling this video Bat Virus, Transgenderism. I don't know how I'm even going to title this video. That's why I said I'm going to just freeball this video. Okay, but I want to show you something else over here real quickly. Now, I also typed in, right, CV, right, 19, which is a real virus. Okay. Let's look this up real quick. So we always, let me turn this video around so you guys can see what I'm actually looking at. I made sure I deleted all the Pornhub, tabs on here, so so don't worry about that. Where did the word influenza come from, right? Because this is where the big thing. Influenza is an infectious virus illness. The name influenza originated in the 15th century Italy from the epidemic attributed influence of the stars. Now we look at this as far as like, we have an influence of the stars, meaning like if you even look up the word virus, viruses are responsible for you being here as a human, but we have a bad image of the word when it pops up in our mind as virus. No different than when you hear the word demon. And when you have angels, you separate angels as the good guys, and then demon means bad guys. When in actuality, demon at its root core means genius. And we all have this inner genius within us, which means we embrace this inner genius, which is basically the dark aspect of ourselves, which basically helps us lighten. Basically, look at it like this. Out of darkness comes light, right? That means you become enlightened this way. You become the light of the world in this way when you're embracing your dark side. Because the reason why people say, oh, they're bright, is because of all the knowledge and influence they gained outside of themselves. But from their dark space, they gained nothing. Which means they're not technically truly enlightened. They are just brightened. That's why they say that person's a bright person. They're just intellectual, right? Enlightened comes from a form of wisdom where you can integrate the two now, right? So now, when you look at influence of the stars, this has an influence on your evolution, right? You also have the astrological point of view of looking at this, which these energies, right, have an influence on your life here. This is why we read the stars, right? We read, but it's considered a pseudo-science, but we read iridology, which basically maps out the body, right? No different than you map out the stars. You map out the body by doing iridology. That's considered a pseudoscience. These things that are empowering are considered pseudoscience, but because these things do not cater to the system in the interest of a profit, okay? But you got to know how to find that balance. Now, when you look over here, this right here,